Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We're doing some modifications today. So I had mentioned in a couple other videos that we were going to be putting a 90 in the E-Flite 80mm F-16. So just pulled the fan out. So there's 90 versus the stock fan. So looks relatively straightforward. I just pulled the vertical off. Kind of pulled the wires out so I can get the stuff and get this thing flipped over. Okay, so I did also this was the Mylar tailpipe that I had glued in here. So it doesn't look too bad. I got to take out the stock fan mounts, probably make some wood ones. Obviously I got to, essentially the 90mm fan is the same size as the radius for this lip, so I got to take off about a 1/4 inch all the way back. So structurally speaking, shouldn't have too much impact, but we'll know more once I start hogging away. Much like the SR-71, probably going to regret this as soon as I start making cuts, but I'm contemplating maybe cutting out this section just so I can get to the ESC stuff better. I gotta peel this up, get the ESC out, put the new one in there. This is a 100 and the 90 uses a 130, so definitely a few things gotta happen. Unfortunately, I'm gonna lose the plug-in for the vertical, so that kind of sucks, but there's a few things that I'm gonna have to take a good look at first before I really start hacking away. So anyways, that's where we're at. Alrighty, so this turned out pretty clean, almost clean enough to not even have to use a Mylar tailpipe, but I'm still going to use a Mylar tailpipe. I did make some mounts, as you can see, out of wood, and I recessed them in a little bit, and I connected them with these outer sponsons here, these outer structural areas, and that's to help use the fan to tie into these sides to add some rigidity back into the airframe. The original ones were just mounted to this inner wall of foam, and there was nothing connecting this section to the center in this spot. There is some back here, but anyways, I'm using some wood here to help use the fan as a structural member of the back end of the airplane. As you know, the forces of these elevators is going to want to twist the fuselage, and having these here will help stiffen up the back end of the plane a little bit since I've taken out some of the structure. So anyways, yeah, you can see how much larger the area looks hogged out for the 90, and should drop right in there. One of the funny things I noticed is that the 130 amp ESC looks exactly like the 100 amp ESC. It's literally identical, aside from the part number and the sticker that says 130 amps. So that's interesting. But anyways, yeah, so now I just need to mount this and put holes in it, some screws, make a tailpipe, and then I'll install the ESC, the fan. Before I completely fill all this back in, put all the foam back in, I will power everything on, make sure the tails are still working, because when you pull the ESC through, it kind of yanks on wires and stuff in that tunnel. So yeah, that's where we're at. Not too bad overall. Dirty job, there's foam everywhere, but I did clearance out this side of the hatch already. So all I have to do is take the piece I cut out of there and hog that out. I'm gonna have to take off some of that plastic, obviously, but anyways, and measured the tailpipe. It is essentially the perfect exit diameter for a 90, so I will make my tailpipe match this exit, and yeah, then I'll button it back up, and that'll be it. We're gonna go flying probably on Labor Day, so it's gonna be a few days before we fly, but I kind of just wanted to get this done. I am working on the F-86. As you guys remember, in the last video, we got some more fan work to do. I did pick up some new packs too. So these are the 6000 Pros. almost the same identical dimension as the 7000s, a little bit smaller, but they are 4 ounces lighter. So those should really rip in this F-16. The flight times will be shorter, but it should, I mean, it'll. And I did weigh the fan and motor, the fans, and the 90 is only 2.5 ounces heavier. So that's about as much tail weight as I had in this thing to get the CG where I wanted it. And you'll notice we got another project coming. So anyways, let's get back to this thing. Get it knocked out so I can get back to my F-86. Okay, so I got the tailpipe made. See, it's nice and smooth in there. Everything fits real nice. I got it taped onto the fan. So I need to run the motor, get it, make sure it's balanced. Run the ESC into the body, and then do a checkout on everything, and then we can go from there. Alright, so the last step is to glue this piece back on. I just hogged it all out. So it slips right in there, good to go. I do need to paint the inside of this black, but I'll do that after I glue all this back together. So, and there you have it. Aside from maybe a little bit of touch-up paint, turn off this fan. Aside from a little bit of touch-up paint, so on the blue, I ended up taking out these little lines in here. I took those out. You can see the foam. Just gonna touch a little bit of paint. Nothing major really. You see here, just kind of looks like a panel line now, so not a big deal. And yeah, pretty sweet. So let's run it up real quick for you. And it does sound nice and smooth. I did do a vertical test outside, and on an uncharged pack, it won't quite hover, but it's close. But again, I'm at 4,000 feet, and it's 85 or 86 degrees, so at lower altitude and cooler air, this thing could have about 1-to-1 thrust. So, and that's static. Once it's moving, maybe the inlet works a little bit more. But anyways, let's run it up for you guys. Sounds pretty sweet. All right. Well, next up is a test flight, so we'll see you in that video. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you in the next one.